Welcome you all to the presentation on Statement of Teaching Philosophy. As per the recommendation of NEP 2020, every teacher is supposed to write the Statement of Teaching Philosophy. As per that, he has to plan his activities in the class for teaching learning process. Before we start the Statement of Teaching Philosophy, let us try to recollect some definitions on learning. Learning is defined as a process that brings about behavioral changes to a person. It is a skill that must be acquired by individuals as students and later as working adults. For learning, it is a skill. That is why now in NEP 2020 also more emphasis are given for skill-based education. People learn differently based on their individual unique style of learning. Therefore, as a teacher, it is our duty to satisfy every children and to their needs only we have to see, because they learn differently. Now, as we have seen the definition of learning, let us see the definition of teaching. Let us recollect. Teaching, on the other hand, denotes a process to facilitate learning. Whatever we have seen the definition of learning in the previous slide, the teaching will facilitate it. Teaching also refers to the presentation of knowledge and demonstration of ability or skill. Because learning itself is a skill, therefore teaching refers to the presentation of knowledge and demonstration of the skill. Let us talk about effective teaching. Effective teaching enables students to make connections of the old and the new knowledge to form new ideas. Therefore, as a teacher, we should try to build a bridge between the old and the new knowledge so that the child will be able to form new ideas. Now, when you see the definition of teaching, T stands for supporting, E stands for empowering, and A stands for engaging, and so on, where G stands for assessment and testing. And whenever we are doing teaching in the classroom, we have to keep it in mind these three keywords, that three keys for teaching. They are: you should be prepared, and you should be concerned, and you should be yourself. The self-confidence you should have. And we have just seen what is the definition of learning and definition of teaching. Now put together, let us see what is the definition of education. The primary aim of education is to impart the desired knowledge or relevant skills to students. Through the process of education, students are expected to enhance their critical thinking skill and make well-informed decisions. But we should give more importance and we give chance for them for critical thinking skill to enhance that. Nevertheless, education is provided not only formally by instructors but also when one learns through experiences in real life. That's why whenever we are talking about curriculum, we always talk about a curriculum called hidden curriculum also, where the children will learn through their experiences in real life. Now, we have seen this learning, teaching and education. Before we go to the philosophy of teaching, that is a statement of teaching philosophy, we should know about the philosophies of education. For that, let us just see what is the definition of education. The word educate comes from a Latin word which means the leading out the student into a wider world of knowledge. That should be the aim of education. And when you see the process of the child, how he learns, and it started with a Gurukul, then after that the children were become a passive listener. Whatever the teacher is teaching, they took it and they were a passive listener. Then after that, they actively participated in teaching learning process. Even we know that we have made the formative assessment 2 and 4 in CCE, where we have designed some activities and we asked the children to do the activities in the class or in the lab and so on. Now a scenario has changed. Now the children are digitally connected with us now. Now the question is, how can you follow the same teaching learning process? Therefore, you have to do some changes in your teaching learning process to fit into the present scenario. For that, we should know what is the philosophy of education. By knowing the philosophy of education, we have to design our philosophy of teaching. Now you see, this is the previous scenario where a child was having only maybe a pencil or rubber or a scale in his desktop. Now he is having a computer now. Therefore, as a teacher, you should be prepared to become a 21st century teacher. You are having a lot of responsibilities, you are having a lot of characteristics. You should be an adopter, you should be a communicator, you should be a learner, you should be a visionary, you should be a leader, you should be a model, you should be a collaborator, and you should be a risk taker. To facilitate you to become the 21st century educator, new education policies, and there is a curriculum, and then NCF and NEP, they are being formulated to help you to become a 21st century educator. Now let us throw some light on philosophy of education. The philosophy is derived from the word philo and sophos, which means love of wisdom. For whenever somebody thinks about the word philosophy, they are thinking that it is not their cup of tea. Don't think like that, because philosophy means love of wisdom. Whenever we are talking about philosophy of education, we are talking about the love of wisdom of education. When we are talking about the philosophy of teaching, we are talking about love of wisdom of teaching. Well, now let us think about this philosophy of education. The philosophy of education, it throws light on goal, the forms and the methods to do it, and the meaning of the philosophies of education. And first it starts with the goal, and what are the different forms of philosophy of education will be explained, and the methods to implement it, and the meaning of why that philosophy is being introduced. Now let us think about some philosophies of education. There are so many, but we can have 7 out of them: essentialism, progressivism, behaviorism, and reconstructivism, and perennialism, and existentialism, and constructivism. Now let us see one after the other why this philosophy of education are to be taught in the class. For example, when you talk about essentialism, it is the training the mind with what are essential. The child should know which is essential in their life. Why to teach it? To instill students with the essentials of academic knowledge, enacting a back to basic approach. That's why even when we are teaching any topic, we will tell them that why it is essential in their life. Even suppose if you teach them normal mathematical operations also, we will tell them that why it is required. Now we are moving on to the perennialism. It is teaching ideas that are everlasting. Why to teach? To teach students to think rationally and develop mind that can think critically. Because when we saw the definition of learning, teaching, and then education, we mentioned that critical thinking idea, that critical thinking should be developed. Therefore, when you teach this perennialism, you to think rationally and develop mind that can think critically. Now, when you go for this progressivism, the word itself tells that children has to progress. Therefore, educations come from the experience. It is why to teach it? To develop learners into becoming enlightened and intelligent citizens. That is why in our curriculum, we are always including the hands-on activities so that they will get this progressivism. Then we are going to the existentialism. It focuses on individual freedom to choose their own purpose in life. Why to teach it? To help students understand and appreciate themselves as unique individuals. Even they can select what they want to be after the class of 8th or after the class of 10th. We are giving them a kind of knowledge so that they can understand and appreciate themselves as unique individual, and they will have the freedom to choose their own purpose in life. And we are going to the behaviorism, and already we have seen the first definition of learning. It wants to bring a behavioral changes in a child. Therefore, the acquisition of new behavioral based on environmental condition. Why to teach it? To modify and shape students' behavior. Therefore, the teaching will change the behavior of a child. Then constructivism, it is giving a lot of hope in the new education policy also. People construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world. We are giving them a lot of scope for them to construct and to develop instinctively motivated and independent learners equipped with learning skills. Therefore, we are giving them a lot of opportunity through this constructivism so that they can construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world. And here, reconstructionism is a very interesting thing, because why to teach? They have to attain social reform. because the education whatever they have acquired should help them to emphasize the addressing of social questions and a quest to create a better society, because the future is in the hands of the young citizens and young children only. Therefore, reconstructivism we will teach them to attain social reform, so that it emphasizes the addressing of social question and they will get a quest to create a better society. Now, at a nutshell, we will see the philosophy of education in a single slide, where we see the essentialism and utilizing the gradebook, progressivism and everything we have seen. But you are seeing one important thing here. In everywhere, we have seen that why to teach, why to teach, why to teach, why to teach and why to teach. Now, what is the question which is to be asked now in philosophies of education is, along with why to teach, if you ask the question what to teach, then how to teach, your philosophy of teaching will emerge. In philosophies of education, everywhere we are asking the question why to teach it. If you ask a question among yourself as per your subject, when you ask the question how to teach, when to teach, definitely your teaching of philosophy will emerge. Okay. Now this slide shows you the school of philosophy with comparison of other sources, idealism, then realism, so many are there. Okay, well. Now, in teaching philosophy, we have to ask 4 important questions. The question number 1 is, why I teach? Now, so many answers will come out. Is serving as mentor and coach, you will teach to encourage lifelong learning, you will teach to share your enthusiasm for learning, and when you teach, you will improve your science literacy or maths literacy or maybe reading literacy, whatever may be, and you will teach to show that creativity and fun are parts of the learning. Therefore, why I teach? Now, suppose if you ask a question, what I teach, but remember, don't immediately answer that, sir, I teach mathematics, I teach science. Not like that. What I teach apart from the subject, along with the subject. These are the answers for it. I teach student responsibility and accountability. I teach critical, creative and bold thinking. I teach them how to question. I teach them how to solve problem. I teach them how to communicate. I teach them that science is for everyone, maths is for everyone, then economics is for everyone, like that. For what I teach, then this teaching philosophy, you should ask a question, you come out with the answer. The third question is, how I teach? This is very, very important, because to answer this question, you should know the philosophies of learning, philosophies of education. How I teach? Normally, I think your teaching process may differ from one person to another person, but I teach with very instructional strategies. I teach considering learning style and aptitude. I teach actively engaged students. I teach by using technology for instruction. I teach the student access to real world technologies. Now this is the way how I teach. Now the last question which I have to answer to emerge this teaching philosophy is how I measure my effectiveness. Remember, there are so many tools to measure the effectiveness of a child. We are doing assessment as learning, assessment for learning, and we are asking the children to have that assessment as learning also. But the very important thing in teaching philosophy is to write the statement of teaching philosophy is you have to ask a question, how I measure my effectiveness. How you measure effectiveness? By reflective practice, by authentic assessments, by see the advice and feedback of colleagues. It is very, very important. You should get the advice and feedback of your colleague so that you will increase your effectiveness and communicate with the students and parents whatever the result has come out. Now these are the 4 questions I have to ask. Why I teach, what I teach, how I teach, how I measure my effectiveness. When you put all of them in statement wise, then why I teach, you will just list out. What I teach, you list out. How I teach, I list out. How I measure my effectiveness, you list out. When you list out, then this teaching philosophy statement will emerge. By using the teaching philosophy statement, you can enhance your teaching ability. Well, now my teaching philosophy should be student centered. The 4 important questions which we have to ask is why I teach, what I teach, how I teach, and how I measure my effectiveness. And remember, this teaching philosophy to write it, my teaching philosophy write it, there are certain thumb rule you have to follow. There should be a positive environment, and always ask why before how. Ask why before how. That is why you see in philosophy of education we started with why to teach essentialism, why to teach constructivism, like that. Then we asked the question how. Then there should be fairness while you are writing, and continuing assessment should be there, and your teaching philosophy should help you for self improvement, and it will help you to build your trust, and you should be honoring differences, and it should build your enthusiasm, and there should be active engagement in your teaching philosophy. Well, now in your process of teaching, how you go to your teaching way, that is, first you start with I facilitate thinking, I engage minds, the young minds I will engage them. Now I will listen to questions, because when I engage the minds, definitely some questions will pop up. Then I will listen to the question, and I encourage the risk. I support the struggle. Whenever a child is struggling, definitely I will support him, and I cultivate their dreams. Whatever the dream the child is having is critical thinking, and I learn every day from the child, and at last I teach. Therefore, when you start with facilitating thinking and engaging mind, and listen to the question and encouraging the risk and support the struggle and cultivate the dreams, and if you are ready to learn every day, then only you will start teaching. Well, now Palmer in 1997, he told a very famous quotation: good teaching comes from the identity and integrity of the teacher and one ability to make these present in the classroom. Therefore, you should have your own identity, and you should show your integrity in the classroom situation. Well, now key principles of NEP 2020, it is being listed out over here. It tells you to respect for diversity. Number 2, equity and inclusion should be there, and community participation should be there, and you should use technology, and you should emphasize conceptual understanding, and unique capabilities of recognizing and tapping them in each student should be done, and critical thinking and creativity should be boosted. Well, now when you go through the NEP 2020 document, there is one word called autonomy in choosing aspects of pedagogy. There is a pedagogy is there for teaching, but you are given the autonomy to choose the aspects of pedagogy. It is mentioned in chapter 5, 5.14. I am listing out what is mentioned there. Teacher will be given more autonomy. Remember, as teachers, you will be given more autonomy in choosing aspects of pedagogy. How will you choose your aspects of pedagogy? Unless otherwise you list out it. The pedagogical way, how I am going to teach, how I am going to plan, how I am going to help the children in learning process, how I am going to encourage them, how I am going to motivate them. When you put all of them in writing, that will become statement of teaching philosophy. How it help? So that they may teach in the manner they find most effective for the students in their classroom. Therefore, your classroom, you are the boss of it, for have your own autonomy in choosing aspects of pedagogy. When you list out the aspects of pedagogy in your teaching learning process, that will become statement of teaching philosophy. Well, now you see here, this slide show you how your own philosophy should develop. It should not be student driven, it should be teacher driven, and you can see what is there, and it should be content focused, it should be task driven, it should be professional focus should be there, and local comments and holistic comments should be there. Therefore, from teacher driven, it should be converted into student driven. From content focus, it should be changed to process or application focused. From task driven, it should be changed to idea or concept driven. Student as students should be student as colleagues. Student independent should be changed to hand-on mentorship. Professional focus should be changed to exciting and engaging. Local comments and grading revision should be converted into holistic comment or grading or revision. For now, when you are developing your own philosophy, the right hand side, what is already given, that is student, it should be student driven. You should think about co-construction of ideas, and you should make the students responsible for learning, and you should plan accordingly. Now, what is actually teaching philosophy? It actually talks about what is learning, so how do you teach, and it gives you an idea how to honoring the differences in learning, and it also tells you how you will make the classroom management. It also tells you how you are going to use the technology in the classroom, and also that it always have other stuffs also are greater importance to you. But this teaching philosophy contains all these ingredients. Well, now how to do the teaching philosophy? Remember, the teaching philosophy is not that you write this year and then again repeat the same thing again and again. There should be a cycle. What you have to do? You have to write, revise, and philosophy thinking that okay, it is pretty good. Again it gather dust. Again reread a teaching philosophy for the job application, and then wow, this is embarrassingly bad. Therefore again do it. Again rewrite it. Therefore every year you know that your batch changes, the set of children are changing. You may be getting a new class. You may be getting a new set of students. Therefore the learning style may be different. Therefore the teaching philosophy should be written every year, and you have to review it, revisit it every year. Well, now a teaching philosophy statement, what do you mean by that? A teaching philosophy statement is a brief personal statement that offers insight. It is your own statement that offers insight. Which insight? Into an instructor's belief about teaching and action in the classroom. It will tell you your belief and what you are going to do in the classroom. It tells everything crystal clear. It is called a statement of teaching philosophy. Well, what brings a teaching philosophy to life is the extent to which it creates a vivid portrait of how a person is intentional about teaching practices and committed to career. For your teaching philosophy, whenever you are answering the questions, what I have to do, what I teach, then how I teach, then how I am going to measure my effectiveness and all, it gives a vivid portrait of how a person is intentional about your teaching practices and committed to career. And what is the purpose? The purpose is it expresses your personal belief. I think you are having your own belief about the learning style of your children and the outcome of whatever you are teaching, and your opinion and views about what you do as a teacher. As a teacher, what I am going to give it to the children based on the present situation. It is intended to be used for reflection. What is your reflection about the learning process? What is your reflection about the outcome? Guidance and personal development of yourself as a teacher. The statement will definitely help you for your personal development, and is more effective when you revisit and revise it frequently. Just now I have explained you, to make it more effective every year you have to revisit it and revise it, because you are going to a new set of children and the learning style differs. And it provides a developmental history of your growth as a teacher. What you have done last year, what was the outcome, what you are going to do this year, what may be the outcome. And can be supplemented with semesterly reflection. Short essay reflect on your teaching experience over the course of each semester. Remember, every unit or everything is over, then it will definitely give you a reflection of your teaching experience. Why to write? Now the question comes that, sir, I have understood that, okay, how I have to write. Now why to write? Well-defined STP is essential for creating and maintaining a culture supportive of learning. And the process helps the teacher to clarify the why of teaching as a foundation for what and how of teaching. Highly interesting, because in philosophy of education we have seen that why to teach, why to teach. Therefore this STP helps the teacher to clarify the why of teaching as a foundation for what and how of teaching. This is told by Goodyear and Alchin in their 1998. Well, therefore I have underlined the word cultural supportive of learning. It gives you, and it gives you the clarify why as a foundation for what and how. Well, then Keynes and Sullivan in 2001 and Kaplan et al. In 2008, they told the very act of taking time to reflect on your teaching can help you to clarify your own beliefs or reveal inconsistencies. I don't think that we will always think about these inconsistencies, but you will have your own belief about a learning style of a child. You may think that, okay, this learning style is very bad and I cannot help the child like that. Therefore, your own belief or inconsistencies, thereby facilitating change and improvement that foster personal and professional growth. But when you write down this STP, then it will clarify your own belief, whether your belief is right or wrong, and it will reveal the inconsistencies you are having in teaching learning process. Well, what are the components? The components will have conceptualization of teaching and conceptualization of learning and understanding of the learner. Understanding of the learner means how they learn, and understanding of the content which you are going to teach, and assessment. It will always talks about the assessment and evaluation, how you are going to make your teaching learning process effective, and it also tells you the methodology to be used, what kind of technology you are going to use, how you are going to enhance the learning process by some methods, and finally it tells you the relationship with the students also, how you are going to motivate them, how you are going to have a plan, a better relationship between them. Well, and now you can tell me, sir, what I can include in this STP? You can include theoretical framework. What does learning look like? How does learning take place? Is it contain only theoretical framework? No, it contain instructional goal also. What do you want students to learn? Is your subject matter in their university experience? You will always give these kind of instructional goals also, and you will have a theoretical framework, and your instructional goals also will be mentioned in the STP. Well, before you go for writing the STP, we quickly see what is meaning by a teaching cube. A teaching cube is telling you what are the different phases of a cube, or the sides of the cube, to choose the aspects of pedagogy. What are the aspects of pedagogy we have to select? Each cube is having 6 faces, but each side of the cube to aspect of the pedagogy. First one is learn. Here what are the questions you have to ask? What motivate to learn, and why is the mode common? In learning we have to ask these questions, get the answer and put it in your STP. And why would you motivate others similarly in learning process? The next phase of it is act. What do you value certain characteristics in teachers, and then express those in your own teaching. It's action. Then the third side of it is difference. Very interesting. Why does what do you do in your teaching makes a difference in life of others? How you bring a difference through your teaching? Why it is relevant? Then the next phase of it is values. What values do you impart in your students, and why? All of you know that we don't teach values, we practice values. Well, and the other side of it is settings. What do you develop the learning environment and the relationship with the student that you do? The settings which you are using to make your teaching learning process effective. Then the next one is enjoy. You should make your favorite statement to make about teaching, and you should make your teaching enjoyable, and what are their favorite. Okay, now we have seen the different sides of the cube, which tells you the pedagogical aspects which you have to select. When you want, we will come back to it once again. We have to go for first one is learn, the second one is act, the third one is difference, fourth one is values, settings, and then enjoy. Okay, now these are the things which you have to do one after the other to design a STP. How does learning happen? How does learning happen? Coming under theoretical aspect, what is quality teaching? You should list out. How will you foster student growth? This you have to list out. And how will you put your teaching philosophy into practice? Anyway, I have written the statement of teaching philosophy. Is it only for writing it and filling the pages? No, you have to practice it. Then, what is your personal growth plan? These are if you answer these questions one after the other, your statement of teaching philosophy will emerge. Well, now, this is a teaching philosophy. Before you go for that, this is one teaching philosophy, art education I have showing you. All students can learn when they are accepted for who and where they are in their educational journey. Effective learning requires a collaboration, because you see the particular teacher is writing that what is the requirement of effective teaching, and he writing his belief. I believe learning take place best in positive safe environment, and he writes in the next statement about art education, how it is useful. Art education provides students with new avenues, and again he is telling that how he want to implement it. Art education is essential for equipping students with the necessary tool to navigate with visual culture society. Well, now this is one more teaching philosophy written by a teacher. Let us try to visualize it from number 1 to 5. In number 1, the teacher has explained what is learning. In number 2, he or she has explained how the children learn. Then in number 3, he tells his idea about which is the best matches, which is learning theory best matches. Then in number 4, he lists out, or he or she lists out the strategies he wants to use. Then in number 5, he tells that how he will help the student to come out of the differences? Very simple. Number one, the teacher explains what is learning. In number two, the teacher finds out or he analyzes the way the children are learning. And in number three, he comes to a conclusion that okay, the learning theory which I am going to choose is this one because it fits my subject. And number four, he tells that what are the strategies I am going to use to implement the learning theory which I have selected. And in number five, the teacher lists out how he is going to help the children to have a different learning preferences. Well, now this is one more a teaching philosophy example I am showing you. I have learned that people will forget that children has written that my mission is life is not merely to serve. These are all the something the teacher has written by one example I am showing you. Well, then your personal teaching philosophy, you should have your own. It should contain the following. This is only a suggestion. How students should acquire knowledge, both method and content. This should be written by you. How students should acquire knowledge. Then you should list out how students should acquire intellectual skills. You should tell the both method and content, and how students should acquire ideas and values, because we were talking about the purpose of education is to give behavioral changes, therefore values also should be there. Therefore, if you are listing out these three important contents in your teaching philosophy, then your statement will emerge. Well, okay, now these are all some personal teaching philosophy questions, which is an example only. What is your concept of learning? How your students learn? It is depending on your subject. In mathematics you can write, or in physics you can write, or in economics, commerce, whatever you can write. What beliefs and method make successful teaching? How do you best facilitate it? You can list out. Why do you teach the way you do? Because it is your own belief. You think that, sir, I teach like this only. I want to have only constructivism. I want to use only technology. What do you see as your role as a teacher? Why do you teach? Then we have already seen in one slide. Why do we teach? Not only we are teaching only to motivate them. We are teaching to give some values and so on. And what are the goals for your students? Remember, when you are listing out the goals of your student, it is not only a list. And you should also help them to attain their goals. What are your goals as a teacher? That also you should list out. How are your values and belief realized in classroom activities? You can have a checkpoint over there. And what do you believe best to motivate students to engage in their learning? This is actually the last one, is to bring the difference, that you are minimizing the difference. Therefore, these are the questions which you have to answer. What is your concept of learning? What is your belief in successful learning? Why do you teach? What do you see as your role as a teacher? Then what are your goals? And what are the goals of a student? And what is your goal as a teacher? And what are your values? And how do you believe that best to motivate to engage them in the learning? Now this is a template you can have as a teaching philosophy, where in the left hand side the areas addressed are there. On the right hand side you have to write my aspirations, or what method will I consider, and how will assess student understanding. This is only one example. Okay, now there are so many examples available in the net which will help you to have some kind of example. These are all some sample teaching philosophies. College of Business, and I am just scrolling down. It is a teaching philosophy in education. You are seeing that this is being written in the form of a paragraph or in the form of an essay, and you can write it with your way of writing it. It is actually your own teaching philosophy. This is a teaching philosophy in engineering. The teaching philosophy in education is in English. Teaching both graduate students is a general part. I have been fortunate enough in all my teaching experience. I have tried to keep two things in mind. My teaching philosophy are both traditional and radical route, like that. Okay. Now the teacher has listed out what he is going to think, what is his ideas about the way the child is learning and so on. This is your mathematics. That only way to learn mathematics is to do, while the process of reading mathematics in textbook and formula. My goal is not just to promote learning, I also try to help the student to learn them logically and so on. Okay. In entomology and so on, and then I will show you something in science. It's based on the proportion that teaching is about learning. There is not the preparation. Question is how to assure that the brightest students select science as a major in college, and so on. Okay. Okay, well, now I am just closing it. These are all some statements which is being, you are seeing it in the form of an essay like that. Okay. Now, there are certain tips for writing your good STP. Include an introduction. You just include an introduction, but keep it brief. Don't try to make a very big paragraph or essays. And use the first person in the present tense. First person in this, I will do, I will do, I will do, like that. Then avoid technical jargon. Don't try to use that so many poems or so many quotations and all. And discuss strategies and method. That is why I told you, whenever you are talking about how I am going to teach, you have to list out the strategies. When you are telling that these are the goals of my students, you have to tell that what are your strategies to help them. If you write that now these are the shortfalls in the learning of my child, then you should write the strategies and methods to eradicate it. Well, now I am going to the last part of it where some questions are being framed. Now remember that these are all only suggestive. When you answer these questions one after the other, you write the question and write the answers, but the answers should be not more than 3 to 4 sentences. Don't try to make a lot of jargon words and all. Question number 1. How do children learn? It may be as per your subject, it may be biology, it may be mathematics, it may be physics, it may be commerce, it may be history, it may be geography. In that, first list out how do children learn in your subject. The next question is, how should I teach? Now this question will definitely give answers to the way the children learn. Then the next one is, how do I motivate the unmotivated learner? Because there is a lot of difference in their learning. Therefore, you should motivate the unmotivated learner also. Here you have to list out the strategies which you are going to follow to motivate the unmotivated learner. Then the next one is very interesting. What is my role as a teacher? Remember, your role as a teacher is to answer those questions which are coming early. That is, you should, as a role as a teacher, you should look into the way the children learn and the way to motivate the unmotivated learner. Then next is, what is the role of my students? Remember why we are writing it. If you write it, then only you can understand the role and you can facilitate them to attain their goal or to make their role perfect. Then the next one is, what are my prime objective as a leader in the class? Remember, you are the leader in the class. What is your prime objective? Remember, there are so many objectives are there. Why I have written prime objective? Because this question, when you answer, you have to keep it in mind. Your objective to facilitate the children, those who are learning in a different way, to help the children, to motivate them, to motivate the unmotivated learner. And this prime objective is to check out your role as a teacher and to perform your role perfectly. And your prime objective should be to check out the role of the students in your class and facilitate them to do their role perfectly. The next question is, what are the learning outcome can I anticipate? Remember, for this question, you have to go back to the question number 1, how they are learning. Because remember, the learning outcomes you should list out so that you can plan your teaching way. To have this learning outcome from the child, I have to do this. This is my role as a teacher, and it should be my prime objective to see that the learning outcome anticipated by me are met. Then the last question is, how do I measure the success of my students? Remember, here we have written measure the success of my student, but remember, the success of your student is actually the success of yourself. When you answer these questions one after the other, you can add some more questions also. Already we have discussed that we have to see that how the children learn, and we have to list out that, and you have to select the better methodology, and in that you have to list out the strategies, and you have to list out the learning outcome which you are anticipating, and you have to list out your role as a teacher and your objectives as a leader in the class. When you list out these answers to these questions, then your STP will emerge. And I hope that by understanding what is the importance of STP, what are the components of STP, then how to write an STP, then what are the questions are to be written and the way to write it, you have learned. And I hope that after writing an STP, you will definitely comment that you will write, I will write and edit an unmatched teaching philosophy. Your teaching philosophy should be an unmatched one. Thank you.